All right. Shalom Akim. Start this lesson. Doing to give all praise and our glory to Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai Bahashim Kakodash. Double honor to our apostles out of the great Milson that taught us his truth and that rule well. Peace and blessing to the sincere Akims that's pushing his truth and all truth and sincerity around the four corners of the earth that lead to us. Shalom. Okay, it's your brother Yara Ariyah from the Great Millstone Man Camp. Now come back to the spirit power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, making of the lesson. Okay, and the title of the lesson is going to be, all right, the Lord wants to give us the kingdom. Okay, we just have to earn it. All right, because the Lord wants to give us, all right, the kingdom. Okay, He wants to put the crowns on our heads. Okay, but we just have to earn it. We just have to prove to Yahweh Shemel Shai that we really want it. Okay, it's just like you dealing with a woman, man. Before you go all out, you want to see if she really down for you, man. Okay, and that's the same thing. All right, what the scriptures reference us to bridegrooms to our husband. All right, we trying to get all right and perfect for Yahweh Shemel Shai. Okay, and it's gonna be a beautiful thing too as well, because all the things that we done work for, all the things that we done went through, all right, is with purpose. Okay, us going through everything that we going through has a purpose. All right, a purpose and a reward. Okay, and brothers, never forget that ultimate reward is ultimately getting the kingdom. All right, ultimately having salvation. Okay, not being able to sin again. All right, being with Yahweh Shemel Shai. Okay, the laws in our inward parts. These things are things that we are wanting for. Okay, we are hastening the day of Yahweh Shemel Shai. But within hastening the day, all right, we understand what comes with that, man. All right, we understand the judgments come with that. All right, salvation and the kingdom. So it's the Lord that wants to give us the kingdom, man. We just gotta earn it. Okay, we just have to earn it. We just have to do what we have to do to please the Lord. All right, and the Lord's gonna bless us with the kingdom. That's the reward. Being blessed with everlasting life, being in rulership. These are the things that, all right, the Lord is going to come and bless us with, man. We just got to keep doing what we're doing. All right, and it's going to be a beautiful thing when the Lord bless us with those things, because that's what we've been waiting for. Brothers done forsook their lives. Okay, could have been celebrities or new people that would have got them well in life, but chose to seek the Lord, chose to put this truth first. And the Lord saw all of that. These are sacrifices that we had to pay. Okay, losing people for this truth. Okay, being called certain names for Yahweh Shemi Shai. All right, that's part of us earning our spot for the kingdom. All right, because we want to come back in the kingdom in that rulership mindset, man. That we were once in America, but we done succeeded. Okay, the temptations and everything that the scriptures talk about. All right, now we're ruling with the 144 and Yahweh Bahashim El Shai. Okay, that's gonna be the highlight of how people say in the word highlight of your career, because this truth is a career. That's going to be the highlight of our career. Okay, really pleasing the Lord, man, and that's what we waiting on, man. Okay, being blessed with the kingdom, everlasting life, salvation, multiple wives, ruling. All right, that's what we waiting on. Okay, but I had a couple precepts just lined up just to further edify the point of how Lord wants to give us the kingdom. All right, this is John 14 and verse 1. It says, let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in the Most High, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And that's right, man. In the Lord's house are many mansions. Okay, different planets in the kingdom. Okay, because there is going to be a lot of repopulation that's going to have to be done in the kingdom. So, all right, bro's gonna need different planets. All right, Lord's gonna bless us with having different planets. And it says, "And I go to prepare a place for you. I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, ye may be also." And that's right, man. Where where the Lord is, with Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. Okay, that's where we want to be also. It's like it with Yahweh and the angels. That's where that's where we want to be also, man. All right, we don't want to be stuck in this place. We don't want to get partake in that second death. All right, but understand that Scripture saying that Lord has a place to prepare for us, man, and that is the kingdom. Okay, that's that place that the Lord is, that the Lord is waiting for us, waiting to give to us, man, that kingdom. Okay, us getting that crowning ceremony again, getting those crowns. These are things that we are waiting on, man. All right, these are things that the men and Lord are striving for. That's going on the highways and byways for to see the destruction of this place, and also to get blessed with the kingdom. All right, and continuing on. This is I'm gonna jump to Luke 12:32, and it says, "Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." Right, man, good pleasure to give us the kingdom, to give the men of the Lord the kingdom. It's the Father, it's Yahweh's good pleasure to give it the kingdom, because you gotta understand that. All right, the Lord already know that 2/3 are gonna have to just die on the side, but the Lord has a real remnant that really sincerely wants to please Him. Okay, so that brings joy in the sight of Yahweh Shem Shai. Okay, the Lord sees the men that, even though they are amongst the 2/3 and could have been rich and could have been successful in this place, chose to seek Him. All right, and the Lord appreciates that, man. All right, that's why it's and that's ultimately why it's going to be the Lord's good pleasure to give us the kingdom, because He sees that. He sees that, oh yeah, 2/3, they got the down this chapter. I got my elect. That's just going to continue, repenting, and doing the true work of Yahweh Shem Shai. That's what it says the Lord ultimately. Okay, so with the Lord seeing that, okay, He's going to bless us, bless us with the kingdom. All right, we just we just got to keep doing what we're doing. All right, not wavering, not being cold, being true and sincerity, pushing the truth. Okay, into the out of season. All right, and Lord, not taking the chip. Okay, and then the Lord gonna bless it with the kingdom. We're gonna get beaten up in those chariots, watching the destruction of this place. Okay, and rebuilding. Okay, the earth, and that's gonna be a beautiful sight to see, man. All right, and I go on a precept, and it says Matthew 6:9, and it said, "Lay not yourselves treasure upon earth, where moth and rust does corrupt, where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust does corrupt, and where thieves do not break nor steal. Where your treasure is, that's there will your heart be also." That's right, man. Where your treasure's at, that's where your mind's gonna be, man. So we got to put our mind on the kingdom, because we understand that in this world, people can steal. Okay, and a blink of an eye, in a blink of an eye, you can lose all your riches, and we see that now. People become billionaires and then they become broke. All right, that's not a life to live, man. All right, but understand putting your mind on the kingdom. All right, and you're not gonna have to worry about that, man. Okay, you won't be truly, really enjoying life, man. Okay, and brothers really understand that and grasp that, man. All right, but I just wanted to make that lesson, man. Okay, Lord wants to give you the kingdom. We just gotta earn it, man. So, low one's lessons edifying. With that, doing to give all praise and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Kakadash. Double honor to our apostles, others great mills from that taught us the truth. Peace and blessing to the sincere Akims. With that, I do want to say shalom.